Microphones. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been advertised. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Sure. Jay?
Here.
Shane?
Here.
Carol Sick?
Here.
Barb?
Here.
George W.? Here. George A.?
He's excused. He's having a problem with his year-old car stuck in Pennsylvania. It's been in the garage 4 or 5 times. It's a Toyota.
Jim?
Here.
Frank? Excuse? Thank you. And Ron?
No,
Here.
not here. Nor his intern is not here either. All right. You have the minutes of last month's meeting, September 10th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll approve.
What, we have what? I have
I'll approve.
the
minutes.
So make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Carol and with an E, and Carol without an E.
Correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? I don't think everybody was here at the last meeting. Okay, minutes approved. Before we get involved in any other business, we've got several appeals of denials I'd like to get through here. First one is Ms. Schmidt, Joan Schmidt, 1360 Ohio Avenue. That's you, my dear. You want to come? And press that button at the base of that, and press the button at the base of that, so you're going to be on the air. All right, you have a problem with a street tree that's interfering with your sewer line on Maryland Avenue, correct?
Ohio Avenue.
Okay. I looked at that, a lot of us looked at that, determined that your sewer line seems to be severely deteriorated. You're probably going to need you probably are going to need a new sewer line. We hesitate taking a street tree down when you're going to have to replace the sewer line anyhow. So this is one of the reasons why we denied the appeal. Taking the tree down is not going to solve your sewer line problem. I mean, what it'll do is keep the tree from taking advantage of that.
Has this anything to do with, I got this about, he sent this to me.
Where did this come from?
This, I don't
City
know,
of Cape May.
yeah.
It's generic or a specific report to your property?
That's for the, I think it's for the street.
Okay.
I have no idea what this is.
I think it's that they're going to be
Is this a
actually
lead?
replacing the lines in the street, from what that's saying. Did you want me
Well, the city of Cape May would replace the lines in the street there, but you're responsible for connecting your
Yes.
home sewer line
to-
to
Yes, I know
this.
that. So Joan asked me to come along. I'm actually her neighbor. I'm at 1352 Ohio.
Okay.
And we have the same problem, and we're both going to be, we know we have to replace our sewer lines.
Okay.
However, the plumbers have all let us know that the sewer line is going to happen again, because this,
It's going to happen again if we don't take the tree down.
Exactly.
All right, yeah.
That's the problem, is because those roots keep attacking the lines along with our sidewalks. So we know that the sidewalk, we can apply for a 50/50 from the
Yes.
city. However, the sewer line itself, that's going to cost her $3,700. It's going
Yeah.
to cost me about $4,000 also. She's already paid, she had 2 instances of her sewer line being clogged
Backed up, yeah.
twice.
Within a month.
Within a month, and
Like
she wasn't even here.
$1,000.
She wasn't even here. So it wasn't even being used, and I know the crew came out, and they were very good. They came out and repaired the line in the street just last week, because apparently when Majestic came out for us, because we had the same problem twice also.
Majestic the plumber.
Majestic came out and snaked the line. He said he didn't snake it from our line, he had to actually go into the street to pull it from the street, and that's when they said there's a problem in the street as well, which Public Works did come out and fix that. So that's what clogged us, because of the sewer line in the street was compromised. So what we're asking is the fact that these trees have been pretty destructive to our properties, and we're both willing to plant new trees in replace of these trees. We'd be
that's-
happy to do that.
Normally the city's responsible for maintenance, replacement, and/or removal
Okay,
of trees on city property, which is between the street line between the sidewalk and the curb. That's city property.
No, and we understand that, but again, we would be happy to donate the trees itself to replace the trees, if that, that helps the circumstances. And I know when I spoke with Public Works, he said that the sewer lines in the street are going to have to be replaced, because when he noticed, I guess they're concrete, or they're lead, I don't know.
They're lead sewer pipes?
I'm not familiar, I guess.
Terracotta.
No, they're not.
No,
They're not.
Oh,
They're
okay.
not.
they're not terracotta?
They are not
And they're not
terracotta.
they're not the black iron? What are they? I never heard
They have
of.
to be replaced.
And that part of Maryland Avenue,
No, we're on Ohio Avenue.
I'm sorry, Ohio Avenue, I never thought that they had anything other than either terracotta or black iron.
Yeah, they're not terracotta, but I know that the guy from Public Works said that they have to be replaced. So, and he said that, I
But
guess the
in less
street
than
itself
1
is
month,
going
I
to be
had to put out $1,000 to, for plumbers. I mean, I have it all here, my receipt.
Right.
And, my daughter was there at the time, and she didn't know what to do. It's all backing up in the house, and so we had to call a plumber. We didn't,
Emergency.
I have all the receipts. And
Right.
then Zoom came and took pictures, which,
Zoom came with their
camera.
their camera.
And then they cleaned it out for $857. And less than a month, I had to pay another plumber, because they said call Zoom, because they took the pictures. And I think that was, 300,
It was just under 400 or something.
yeah.
You're having problems too?
Yes, we had to have our lines snaked twice this year, within 3 months of each other. And the first time it was the roots in our lines, and the second time was when
That's all
Public
the
Works came out.
receipts.
Oh,
because
no,
it
I
was
won't
the
need
street.
to.
And look at sewer line.
Public Works
in the
fixed
street,
it.
right.
The thing was, again, that's where Majestic, when they came out the second time, said that it was a problem in the street that was blocking us, not anything in our line. So Public Works fixed the problem in the street, but again, it's just going to continue to happen, because the trees, those roots, since we all know they're shallow roots, they're going to attack those lines.
If I remember correctly,
It's not maple.
it's a maple tree?
It was sycamore, it's a.
No,
silver-
the difference
silver
between
maple.
this.
Silver maple, I think.
It's a maple?
Yep.
You're right, okay.
Yep.
It's not probably a sugar maple, it's a maple tree, yeah.
And we all called them swamp maple.
I already paid, like, the payment was going up, and I was
Right.
afraid somebody would sue me for,
You
so I
did the 50/50
Yeah.
program some time ago.
I did
yeah.
that already.
But I noticed the sidewalk was repaired.
yeah.
All right, so.
I know
open
my
up for
sidewalk has to be
discussion,
repaired.
Boys and girls.
I just have a question. So if you replace the sewer line, does that retard the advance of the roots into the new sewer line? I mean,
No, they're just going to attack, it's because it's looking for moisture, so it's going right back to the sewer lines again.
Yeah, but with a solid, what they're using now is either a solid plastic line or a coated metal line, which is a continuous line. There's not gaps that would be in a knob and tube, terracotta line, which is sealed with cement, which will deteriorate after a period of time.
I know when they videoed my
Yeah.
line, they said it's the roots are actually lifting. So it's not that they went into my pipe.
Right.
They've lifted the pipe, and that's where the crack is occurring.
Oh, okay.
So it's just that the lines are going towards where we have moisture, and obviously we.
Right,
we're
yeah.
along.
The tree is taking advantage of
Absolutely.
the moisture and the nutrients, so.
Yeah. And I know that the trees itself, they're, it's in, the electric lines above, it's all tangled in there.
Well,
Yeah.
to a smaller degree, we can, our city contractor
Can print it, yes.
remove the lines leading from the tree to the house.
Mm-hmm.
But the main lines, if they come through on that side of the street, Atlantic Electric has to do those. I don't want
They
him,
did that last year.
I don't want him
They did do
touching.
it last year.
They
And
did
they're
that.
due in next year,
Last year,
2025.
They put all the new things in the line,
Yes.
a big
Okay.
thing up, big box up there.
Yeah, they'll come through and trim off, do a major trimming.
Right.
They do it to trim every 3 to 5 years. I mean, that's why there's, on your street and Ohio Avenue and Maryland Avenue and New York Avenue, you get so many of these big wide gaps in the trees. They come in and trim the branches
have that,
off.
yeah.
So they don't have to come back for 3 to 5 years.
Can I ask you a question? Is it mandatory that you replace your house connections, or are you just figuring the timing of this with the?
It's gonna come
It's going to
back.
be, because the fact that it's an issue,
So you've already made up your minds that you are going to replace your house connection?
We
You're
have.
both going to do
because
it?
Yeah.
I was with the crack, and hers isn't as, I think mine's more.
Yeah,
is more
yours
of an
is,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah,
So then it goes back to that argument of what Jay was saying. A newer connection, there'd be no gaps or, anything for a root to follow into, but then you made the argument,
but it's going to happen
if,
again.
well, if it's
No,
going
not- well-
if it's going to heave the line, that's a different scenario. So even with the new line over time, if it starts to heave the line, you're going to have problems.
Exactly.
For the roots to infiltrate into the pipe would take years upon years for that to happen. Accelerated by what you're saying. If that pipe starts to heave, it gives a little bit of an opening somewhere, then you'll have the same problem. So it's one of these things where, for us to really know what the future holds,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I-
I
I've
wouldn't
got a
have-
comment that this has been, that we've had these hearings before
Yeah.
on this same matter with other people. I personally have even had a problem with a home I used to own here on Queen Street. You remember that, Jay? It was very many years ago. Same way with plumbers. It was in the.
Well, I live in the house with my mother-in-law, so we're the original, down to this, daughter-in-law, and my husband's passed. We never had a problem till but your house always had a problem with your aunt, how to get
Yeah.
it. So it's just the last
Yeah, I'm
couple of
familiar
years
with
that
it.
it's really
I'm
bad.
familiar with it. And we have had many other people come in with a similar type of problem here with some of the sewer.
In some cases, we
situations.
roll over on it, in other cases, we don't. So,
Well, your feed out to the street is strictly relying on gravity and nothing but. So if you did have heave, if you had an inspector actually tell you that, and the pipe is now not pitched towards the street,
He said
if it's a
pulling out,
negative
yeah.
pitch, you really have a problem. That creates a huge problem. So again, I don't know, we don't have studies, but, taking your word for what a,
I do know that the water line was also,
compromise.
luckily it wasn't my water line, it was your water line. So you guys had to replace it last year? It was not this summer, but past summer.
Water
We
line?
had water that was leaking, coming up into our front lawns, and it was actually the, kind of like the border between myself and George Freeth, who's my connecting twin. And we couldn't figure out why there was water, and then they came out and we found out there was a break in the water line on the other side of the meter, so.
On your side of the meter?
On your side.
On the city side of the meter,
City side, so
okay.
the city had to replace it. And it was, again, and that they couldn't shut it off because apparently the shut off was overgrown with roots.
With roots, yeah,
Yes.
that's happened before, yeah.
Yeah, so, and again, they were just like, okay, well, we fixed it, but hopefully it won't happen again.
Right.
Did you get anything in writing from your plumber or
that's
plumbers?
what I was wondering.
I do, but I didn't bring with me, I guess you have your quote?
Yeah, I have, really 3 quotes.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Was there a recommendation that they made to you?
I was going to ask.
Not in writing, but they did give us that, I mean, I can get it from them. Yeah. I can get what they advised us.
I know that I know you've had one before.
Yes. Yeah, my last quote was, well, Broadleys did a quote, and so did Al's Plumbing.
And I have one from Zoom, and he took the pictures when I,
And Al's Plumbing, too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
3 of them. I did send the pictures in from Zoom, what it looked like, the pipe, you know.
Right.
And I guess when they denied it, I didn't get the pictures back, but I have them on my camera, if you need, my phone.
Yes, Carol?
Would this be a problem that could occur anywhere in the city at any time with the street trees? I mean, are we looking at,
Depends on the tree.
It occurs in areas where there's the older plumbing lines, where there's the older, not so much freshwater incoming lines, but where there's older sewer lines. The roots of trees get bigger, and the trees are looking in more and more in the yard for water, and they're looking in the streets too. That's why they go that's why they go out into the streets and kind of mess up the roadways in some cases. But they go where there's mostly a drip area, which is the green, the lawn, and stuff like that. And if there's another source of nutrients in there, that's where they'll head. So as the trees mature, they're going to be looking for more and more sustenance. So, you know, this is one of the disadvantages of having mature trees. You plant 2-year-old or have 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8-year-old twigs, you know, in the ground, there's not that much of a problem. But a lot of these trees are 80, 90 years old. So this has happened 2 or 3 times in the past year. You remember, it started in the spring of this year. I think we had two trees taken down because of just irreconcilable problems with the thing. But I think if you're determined to replace the line anyhow, I would deny the removal of the street tree in anticipation of you getting a new plumbing line in, a new sewer line in. And that should solve the problem. It should solve the problem.
And if it doesn't, we can revisit the situation.
Pardon?
And if it doesn't, Jay, we can revisit this.
It doesn't, hopefully, that won't happen in our lifetimes or in your lifetimes either. You know, this should be something with the new line that goes in there, that should last for several lifetimes, you know. So I'm open for suggestions.
I say we wait.
I think if there's a replacement anyway in the works, let's have the replacement occur. And then again, if there's a problem that brings it up again, we'll address it then.
What'd you say? I can't hear.
Is the street main being replaced also?
I was told that he thinks it should be.
Should be, but as of
I
now,
don't know.
no.
I guess, 'cause he said when he looked at the pipe, he didn't realize what type of pipe was there.
Okay.
So when they opened it up, that was the conversation he was having.
So this letter here is not, Shane, is this
Yeah.
a Public Works letter? Or
This is a water about the removal of lead pipes throughout the city
it's
there.
just strictly about the lead pipe?
Yeah, and
It's nothing to do-
that's
this
for
is a
drinking
generic
water.
letter. It has nothing to do specifically with their property.
That's
That's what I
correct.
was asking. Right. Okay, so, I mean, you'll have an open excavation for your 2 lines. Obviously, that'll expose things that we can't see now. We'll be able to see some of the tree roots. At that time, would it be okay if there's any way for them to contact Public Works to go out there and take a look at maybe what tree roots might be impacting it, what may be able to be cut back?
Well, they're going to
While
have
it's
to,
an open
several tree
excavation.
roots, when they dig it. Unlike running an electric or even a fresh water line, but an electric line or something like that where they could tunnel in, tunnel for a narrow thing, they won't have to dig a trench. Running a sewer line, you got to dig a trench.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you can have an open excavation,
Yeah.
which will, obviously give an opportunity to view what's actually below ground with these tree roots that we cannot see now.
Taking roots out when you do that. part of the
They're gonna be taking some roots out when they do that.
Unless they're planning on jacking.
But these,
the pipe
these,
to it.
don't
I
forget,
think that's the case.
these are roots, they're taking out roots that's running right toward the house. It's not like they're running across in the parallel to the sidewalk where they're gonna cut all the feeder roots off. This will cut a line of feeder roots, not a trench, which would cut them all off.
I have a quick question. How many times has this happened? Just for the past, like,
So it used to be that I would get it once a year.
Get the line rooted out,
To get my line snaked.
Right.
I would do it once a year, and I would probably kind of do it as a preventative because I knew it was going to happen.
right.
And now, this last 2 years, it's probably been twice a year. And she, like I said, she had it
Twice
twice in a month
In a month.
when she wasn't even here.
I'm only going to give a personal opinion because we're talking about all these maybe things going to happen in what, a year's time or more? And there's going to be more expense that's going to happen for all of that to take place. And in the meantime, you have the bills coming in and all of the other, truthfully, just plain old problems, worry. So my feeling is that it's better about not having the tree than having to go through all the expense of everything else going on. That's my own personal opinion. Everybody else can, because they're going to replace it anyway. And we don't know what will happen even when all the other stuff gets done. So,
Well, you don't know if the tree is gonna survive with all the work.
correct, correct.
Chances are, that's not gonna, as I said, that's not digging a trench parallel to the sidewalk, which will cut all the feeder roots off. This is digging a trench toward the house from the tree, so.
This has anything to do with the tree, but just about 6 months or so ago, my next-door neighbor, where I'm on Columbia Avenue, had a pipe burst, and it blew up the whole sidewalk in front of their house. They had to replace that sidewalk themselves. There was no tree there at all.
Right.
So I'm just talking about the fact about, Cape May's a very old town with a lot of old infrastructure.
Right.
So that's where I'm going with that.
Jay, I'd like to be able to see if we can have a tree coexist with the new pipe.
Well, you want to put it to a vote?
Yes.
All right, I suggest that we keep the tree and just encourage the folks to do it as fast as they can, replace their sewer line. All those in favor? All opposed? Looks like those in favor of, we're going to keep the tree, and you should make immediate plans to get your lines replaced. And then we'll take a look at, you're going to have to replace the lines anyhow, most likely. But when you get entrenching to do the thing, give us a call again, and we'll if people responsible for it. Who's got Ohio Avenue? That's your.
I do, yep.
We'll go back and take a look at that.
There's actually 3 trees.
Pardon?
There's actually 3 trees. There's 1 in front of hers and 2 in front of me.
There's what?
There's 3 trees. There's 1 in front of her and 2 in front of
And
me.
what was your address?
1352,
1352. 52?
yes, Ohio. The 2 that are in front of me are actually the older trees.
Okay.
What kind of trees are they?
Same thing, the
Maple?
maple.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Google Street View is 5 years ago, so that's not, I haven't been to your property to see it. I do see the one
I
tree.
don't have a picture with me.
Yeah.
I could send it to Shane when I get home.
I might have it on me.
Oh, you might have it?
I might.
Your house would be the one grayish color, if it's still gray, or this
Like
is
greenish.
greenish? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess, right, greenish gray, got it, okay. Yeah, so I see the large, very large tree out
Yes.
there. Extremely large, right, wow. And the other 2 small ones, now I see them all, they're all there.
I know my
5
husband
years
looked it
ago,
up. He
they're all
said that
there.
they have a lifespan of 80 to 100 years. That one's probably close.
Well,
Well, one, or have your trees, the trees in front of your house, have they caused any problems with the sidewalk
Oh,
yet?
the sidewalk's buckling. I have to get that replaced, too. Yeah, that was replaced, I want to say, 15 years ago, and now
Okay.
it's getting replaced again.
That was, we still had the 15 years ago, I was there, we started the 50/50 program, so.
Yes.
All right,
So that's probably, I have to get quotes for that. I haven't gotten the quotes yet.
okay.
Do you have a time frame for when you're having your
The
work
sewer
done?
line? Our sewer line, we're hoping to do it this fall, or actually, maybe
So
spring.
very soon.
Yeah.
I would advise the two of you to be there when they're doing it, when they open everything
live
up.
right around
Get the best look of it that you can and, you know, speak to them. And if there's possibly some tree roots that they think may need to be removed, maybe Public Works or somebody can be called out to assess that.
Yeah. Like I said, the guy from Public Works, he's been very helpful. He actually said the same thing about coming out.
Okay.
Okay,
So they don't reimburse you for anything that you put
Not the
out?
sewer line.
no, on the sidewalk, yeah, but the sewer, sidewalk and the
Nice, that's a
50/50,
hefty
but the
cost.
sewer line, we can't help
It'd be
you.
nice if there was a program for that.
Yeah,
Thank you. For
well, no, all right.
Thank you for coming, appreciate it.
Did you find the picture?
I didn't find it, no.
All right, now we have St. John's Place. Chris and Monica McQuillan. Go to this one, this has got a green light already. And who are you?
Tree.
My name's Chris McQuillan.
Okay, you've been in here before.
I have not.
Oh, you have, you look familiar.
No, sir.
All right, now you've got there's a tree in your backyard, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's the tree that's along,
It's right
Fence.
along the back corner of the parking lot of the housing authority. Yes.
And you say it's a mulberry tree, right?
It's a paper mulberry, which is different from a mulberry tree.
Yeah, but there was also the word invasive, or,
Yes, sir.
I can't find anything about paper mulberry trees being invasive. I mean, there's a lot of invasive trees, like tree of heaven. They even use them, Bradford pear is invasive. I don't call them invasive, it's just a tree that we don't recommend anymore for street trees. But Atlantic Electric for years encouraged cities to put in Bradford pear as street trees for a couple of reasons. Number one, they didn't grow up really high and get into the electric lines. Unfortunately, I call them a lollipop tree. They would grow up, all the branches would come out of one spot on the tree, which looked nice for 10 or 15 years, but after they matured, those branches started to slew off, and then the tree started to look horrible. And we wound up even having a real bad lopsided tree. We wound up having to take it down anyhow. They were good for 10 or 15 years, but you know, a lot of these trees we put in here we're looking for a lot more than that. And we've had, who looked at that tree?
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, when I looked at it, I mean, it looked like a healthy tree. The trunk was okay. I know it's against the fence, and it's in the corner of your yard, and it does hang over the parking lot. But I have pictures, too. You probably have pictures. I don't think it has to come down. I think it could just be trimmed. I mean, rather than kill the tree, I think it just needs some maintenance. I had another, George Ator looked at it also.
Right.
And, and George looked at it. I think it's been trimmed before,
Oh, yes. That,
but it's a full tree. I mean, you have pictures too. I can pass that
and
around.
I'm happy to share it. I'll share it with everybody, what I found.
So I didn't see a reason for cutting it down.
Carol's pictures.
I didn't hear what the request is. Why do you want the tree removed?
So if I can give you the
Oh,
history
please.
and
Oh,
at
go
least
ahead.
what I found through this. We just purchased the home in July, so.
Okay.
the-
You did a lot of work on that.
We have, and we've been fixing up.
Well, that was like a
inside.
one-story house, and you've put in, was,
Oh, that's 2 houses over.
oh, okay.
Where they, yeah, they went.
Oh, up, you got 3 stories in there now.
Beautiful.
One right on the corner, Jack.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
corner property, and it's got the detached garage, it's almost like a duplex.
810.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is in the back corner of the property
on the
that's adjacent to the Housing Authority parking lot.
Right, okay.
Housing Authority area. So as we've been fixing up the home inside and out, one of the things we wanted to do is take out the chain link fence and put in a new cedar fence, abutting up to the neighbor's property, because they had the same type of fence. So about 2 months ago, we put in for that permit, and that was approved. So we started moving ahead with it, and the fencing company said, you have a lot of different stumps that are around the perimeter that you need to have grinded up first in order for us to be able to come in and do the fence properly. So I reached out to Matt from Top Notch.
Top Notch. Matt
On
Notch.
Arbery. And when he came through the property, he identified the stumps that need to be grinded up. And he specifically pointed out the tree in the back corner as paper mulberry being an invasive species, that we needed to address that, because no matter what we did, so at the current, on the current property line, coming 6 inches off the property line for the fence, it's smack in the middle of
So
one of the
you'd have to-
leaders.
You'd have to either stop and start the fence again, or move the
And
whole
then-
fence in.
So the initial plan was that we were gonna come in about 2 or 3 feet, and then come back to the I guess, side or rear property, depending
Right.
on how you look at it. And he said, it doesn't matter what you do, the way that this tree grows is going to destroy your fence. It's not a normal tree, and so I guess in a way, so we submitted the permit to take the tree down. And in the meantime, one of the neighbors had come over from the Housing Authority, and we were just talking, and he had requested that we address the issue, because there's it has like this white nasty sap that keeps coming down on the
Right.
cars in the parking lot next to it, because all the branches are coming over to their property. And then when it's windy, a lot of the smaller branches are cracking off and falling down on the cars too. So I said, look, I have a permit in, let's just see how this goes, I'll let you know. So in the meantime, permit went through the process, it was denied, and that kind of brings us to today. So why I'm asking for reconsideration of this decision. And, while I'm not fully happy that it was rejected, the part of me that is happy is that it made me kind of take a step back and actually do the research on this tree to learn more about what we're asking for. So I did a lot of research. I've gotten in touch with a lot of different agencies throughout New Jersey and locally, and this is the supporting information on that. So as you see, the first document that you look at is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it's the new invaders of the Northeast and the North Central for invasive species. And just to summarize, there are a bunch of pages there. The guide is to help landowners and land managers to recognize new invasive plants that aren't widely distributed, so that they can be treated and eradicated rather than becoming large and expensive problems. So if you go through that, the second, that gives a little description of the tree as well and how it grows. So the second chart is from the New Jersey Strike Team, showing the 2023.
Can you give us a page reference?
34.
34.
Let's see.
What page are you on?
34.
Well, if you go past, so you hit 34, then 35, then you'll see a chart following that. Sorry, I didn't
Okay.
tab these.
Yep.
So it's the first one with all the colors. That's the 2023 Strike Team Species and Control Recommendations. What that is a list of all the species determined to be invasive in New Jersey, along with the classification showing that it's an emerging, and what emerging means is that it's just starting off, and now is the time that you want to take care of those species before they go too far. So if you go back, 1, 2, 3,
34,
five,
page
six,
34.
6 pages to where the chart disappears and there's text again. What that is from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. It's an appendix to the Policy Directive of 2004-02, which is invasive non-indigenous plant species. And what that is the department's directive outlining the species not suitable for landscaping of capital improvements, replanting of facilities, or ecological restorations administered by the department. And as you can see, that paper mulberry is right in the middle of the list of those.
Here it is, yeah.
And then if you go to the next page,
Are
this
these,
is,
are these all these trees here, are all these trees not recommended to be planted?
yes, yes, sir.
Really? Black locust?
Yes, sir.
I can see Calvary, but catalpa?
Our list again.
Yeah, that's what's been interesting to me, is looking at all these saying, wow, they put them out there for sale, but then we're told that we shouldn't plant them, and it's because they're not from this area. And this tree,
Well,
I've
there's a-
learned, comes from Asia.
Yeah, there's a difference between an invasive species or something like this and a non-native tree.
Yes.
My definition of a non-native tree is if it grows here with the climate and the atmospheric condition it has, it's fine. You know, it's good as a native tree. If it's an invasive species because it causes harm, that's a whole other story.
Yes, and that's through this process, that's at least, so, selfishly, we were trying to put up a fence, and it's right in the middle, so that was the initial reaction. The tree, the arborist had made the recommendation based on when he came to inspect the property. So if you look on the next page, that's a 2024 do not plant list, and if you look about 10 down, that's on the 2024 New Jersey invasive species strike team list.
Can I just stop you for a second? Who identified the species of tree for you?
Matt Notch.
Matt Notch identified? it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then finally, this led me to, I wanted to get confirmation somehow, so I started reaching out to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. I spoke with them, and they got me in touch with the Division of Science and Research, their environmental assessment team. And the last page on that is an email from Joe Belinsky recognizing that this tree is on the invasive species list, and that the designation of emerging by New Jersey warrants higher attention, since prevention and control at this stage is most effective. So with that, I wanted to at least show you, you have the photos that you passed around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one of these trees.
And it was interesting because there are maps that they put out there.
There's a
You
lot-
came,
These are all over.
you came prepared, didn't you?
Well, this is my first time doing this.
Wow, you wouldn't think so.
So, they're all along the, Cape Point, State Park, the forest along there. That's where on the maps that they showed.
I'm not familiar with the property. I think I heard you say that the parking
on the-
lot
on
in
the-
the photo is the public housing parking lot?
Yes.
That's what that is, okay.
Yeah, so as you go around St. John's, right after the park, the open field, that's going to be the
Oh, okay.
police department.
Yep.
As you go around there, it curves to the left. We're on that corner.
Got it.
Right
All right,
there.
okay.
So backing our property is the
I know.
housing authority. So that first image is kind of from the property line, which shows, and this is where I talked to Matt Notch. He said that a normal tree, you want a solid single leader, one
Right.
trunk. And the way these trees grow is that they have multiple leaders. So they'll have the main, which are the ones that unfortunately were trimmed. They were cut down in the property. So what that's doing is it's weakening the side leaders going off the back. And so the subsequent photos, if you look from the front of the property, straight down the property line, that one going off to the right, that's the one that you see in the back of that initial photo, so that's going into the property. The one on the left
The one's going
looks like
straight up.
it's straight,
Yeah,
but on the next photo, that's the one going into my next-door neighbor's property. So the only ones that would actually fall within our property were the ones that were cut by the previous owner, just down to the base. So, you know, given the history, I'm not an arborist, so I can't tell you that it's going to fall, but from what Top Notch told me, it's been decimated to where the strong leader has
Right.
been taken down. And the way this tree grows, and why he flagged it in the beginning, it's not like a normal tree where it drops acorns and then you get some saplings that start growing. This actually grows off of the root system. So that's why if you look in this photo, this tree that's to the left
Oh, yeah.
is actually a side leader coming from
Yeah,
this
that
main
tree.
tree. It's just going to keep sprouting up from the roots.
Right.
And that's where he said, this is going to, I don't know why you're putting a fence in, because it's just going to take it out. But that's how that tree grows. And that's partially why it's an invasive species, because as I've learned, it has a shallow root system, so that leads to soil erosion. It also has a tendency, based upon being shallow and how the root system grows and how it splinters off into multiple leaders. It's not a steady tree. It's going to fall over when there's wind. So this one's already been hacked down to the
once
base.
already, yeah.
And so that brings us to where we're at here.
Just one other question. With so much information that you threw at us, did you mention the lifespan of this tree? Does anybody know what the lifespan is of a tree?
It says it in this,
Ever.
25 to
He
50
said,
years, Jim.
I've experienced
What is it?
25 to 50 years.
25 to 50.
I'm going to speak up because I've had this experience. I feel like today I'm the encyclopedia of my property. I've had so many things happen, but I've had this tree in my backyard. And it was the same thing. It was next to my neighbor's fence. And I'm sorry Ron Manier is not here today because he's experienced all these things with me. We removed it, I can't tell you how many years ago, and it's still growing. Ron Manier has to tell me I have to clip the little bottom, just what you said, the little bottoms all the time or else it's growing up again. And this is like going over like 15 years maybe, okay? And it's a horrible, horrible tree. It drops all kinds of things.
It does, and the berries, it's because it was used across the world. What I learned is,
Right.
when you want just fast tree coverage, they would plant this, and it just goes
There
rampant.
must have been a long, long time in Cape May, probably Victorian, that the tree became popular.
Thank you.
And so this
I didn't know it.
isn't us just coming here saying we want to take this tree out and that's it and be done with it. My wife happens to be an environmental engineer, and you know, commercially it's a little different than this, but what she told me, she's like, well, if you're going to go sit down with them, is their typical standard is a 10-for-1. If you're going to take a tree out, that they would recommend and that's mainly coming from Pennsylvania, but a 10-for-1 ratio if you're going to take a tree out, that they expect you to replant 10-for-1. And just so that you know, we do not look at this as, I want this tree out of the way so we can put a fence up. We're looking to beautify the property. We want to bring non-invasive and native species into the property. So this just at least shows you a little bit about where our head is on what we want to do on replanting, so that it's not just taking this corner tree out.
I actually visited this site yesterday, and certainly it does need to be trimmed. Right? The branches are in the parking lot of the Housing Authority, and it is on the chain link fence, which I don't believe the city allows anymore. You know, however, is this something that's just purely cosmetic in your mind?
I don't believe it is, and after researching it, it's only proven to me. So I would say that my initial request was that it's in the way of the fence, and the arborist told me that it's an invasive species. You should get rid of this because it's going to ruin not only your fence, the neighbor's fence, and then it's going to start falling on the cars. So it came about from that recommendation, and then, that's why I said, you know, kind of glad you guys made me do the research, because you denied it. And I've learned more that it's actually a pretty nasty tree. I wouldn't have known. I'm not a tree person, so
Right.
it's not something that I do. I do
No,
like
I
it.
wasn't even aware that paper mulberry was such a destructive tree myself, you know.
And they even say that the birds eat the berries so much, and then they go and help spread it.
Propagate, right.
But that describes 90% of
Carol?
the trees in Cape May.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the, you have to understand where we're coming from.
I do.
I mean, when I looked at this tree, it looks healthy, trunk looks fine. We're in the business of saving
Understood.
every tree. So, you know, I know you have an awful lot of information here, which I wasn't aware of either when I went to look at this. But I don't know. If somebody comes in here tomorrow and they've got a paper mulberry and they want to get rid of it, you know, what is our reason for being?
Well, you know a little bit more about paper mulberry trees today than we did yesterday and the day
True.
before. We'll know a little bit more about it when somebody else comes in. I would say $75 and give a permit to take the tree down. That would be my recommendation.
Can I second that?
And I'll third
Well,
it.
let's discuss, if you can, enlighten us on what your plans would be if you take the tree down. What would your plans be, again, of putting additional trees in, of beautifying the property?
Of course. I could walk you through kind of the drawing in front of you, and that, you know, if you start in that corner, which is the bottom left of the property, that's where the paper mulberry is right now. So that, down on this side.
Okay, gotcha.
And I have more.
Everything highlighted here is new plantings, or?
Yeah,
any
so
of-
the
it's all new
old, so
plant-
the large tree on the top here,
Yes,
and the large tree on the bottom are existing, this one's a standard mulberry tree. I have no idea what this type
so
of
which one is the paper
The
mulberry?
paper mulberry is the bottom left corner,
Bottom left, Jay.
Bottom,
behind the shed.
Where it says
oh, right
shed.
here. Existing paper,
Yes.
that's the only tree you're
So
talking
that's
about.
the existing, and then there's an existing standard mulberry right in the center on the bottom. And then if you go directly to the street side, that's another existing tree. So everything additional on that, what I happen to like, my wife might outrule me, which probably will, but I happen to like crepe myrtles and banana trees and some palms that are, like you said, non-invasive, but they can live here. So what we're looking to do is introduce those throughout the property. The crepe myrtles on the back, there are some arborvitaes that we want to use for privacy in between the two, along the fence line. And we'd like to introduce, there's an air conditioning unit on the upper side of the main house.
You own both of these properties,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The 810 and then the one a little bit to the left, all right.
So introducing and research I've done, which, like I said, my wife will probably say no, but, you know, windmill palms are able to live here. Mediterranean palms are also able to live here. Crepe myrtles and arborvitaes, that's at least our initial step, and the new cold hardy banana trees as well. Those were the
Now, this
first.
property's kind of cat-a-corner to where the new police station's going.
Yes.
Right.
So the police station, if you're looking at this straight up and down, the police station will be on the right side. Yeah, so, and down probably
Closer.
300 yards.
Closer to the Lafayette Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
And we're open to suggestions on other species that grow well here as well.
when do you expect to have these new trees planted?
A timeline for me is as quick as I can get somebody in to do the landscaping. So the fence, I pushed them back just because we're waiting on this, so the fence will probably go in about 3 weeks. So I would anticipate, say, 2 months, 3 months.
So if I went around to your house and looked, there would be all these new trees would be in there. Because a lot of people do say this, but I don't know how much of it's followed through.
Well, I'll do this and more. We're big supporters of the environment. my wife's more than I am, being an environmental engineer. So if I'm putting this down there, then I went to West Point, you can hold me to it. I will do it.
I'm not a voting member, but I've cut meat for a long time, and this tree has been butchered.
Well, other than him proving his case, looking at this photo, first of all, it's, 25 to 50-year lifespan, just judging on the size of the trunk, we're going to have to say 25 years. But also what Shane had just said, I mean, it's not pruned properly, it's not the healthiest-looking tree, it has growth, but it doesn't have strength because of the way the leaders have grown out. And the location of the tree really isn't all that critical. It's in a back corner of a property, tucked behind a shed. Is the shed still existing?
I just took the shed out because it was just inundated with birds.
Okay.
I don't think, Jim, when I looked at it, I don't think the tree's going anywhere. I don't think a consideration that it's going to fall. It's not going to fall.
But what I'm trying to say, it's not exactly the healthiest-looking tree either.
If we would approve trimming of this tree, I mean, you might as well just take the whole thing out.
It's a messy, messy tree.
And I'm sure the neighbors would appreciate the fact that their cars are not getting ruined anymore.
On public property.
Yeah. And the fact that it's keeping you from building your fence.
It's an added
And that you can see how the current chain link fence is in poor repair as it is, because of the tree.
It is. Yeah, I'm having to go around, because then you get the fence people and the tree people saying, well, I'm not gonna touch the fence to take it out because it's got the tree on it, because it's actually growing through it.
Right.
So I have to go through with bolt cutters and cut out the chain link just so the tree people can get to the base of it. It's crazy.
All right, well, Jay, I don't think there's much more to say other than possibly bringing this to a vote.
I would say $75, $75 and give approval to take this tree out. I wasn't aware how invasive or toxic or a combination above of paper mulberry would be. So that's would be my suggestion. Yes.
When I looked at the tree, I mean, it looked okay to me. The trunk looked okay. But in light of your new information, and you're going to plant all these new trees, which will hold you
They may
to,
change versions, but they'll be there.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, in
Yes,
light
and
of
we're
that.
not gonna dictate to the gentleman what kind of trees to put in.
No, but just that there's 10 trees to 1 or whatever,
No, whatever.
that makes me feel a little better. So in light of that, I would say we approve it to be removed.
Are we in agreement?
Yes, I will second that.
Pardon?
I'll second that motion.
Who made the motion? I can't make the motion. Carol.
Which was
Carol sick?
For removal,
for removal.
yes.
Removal, yes.
Yeah. And I
You
would suggest
second
put
it?
this
All those in
cement block
favor?
on the Bottom of there, where do you
Aye.
remove it? Because it will grow. It will grow.
All in
I'm gonna
favor,
give
right,
you
Jay?
back. I'm gonna keep this.
Did we vote?
Let's take a vote.
Did we just?
We did, we voted? Okay, I didn't hear it, so, okay, well,
Here it is.
All those in agreement with the tree removal, $75, tree removal, with the provision that he plants trees of his choice in there? Yes. What?
In this plan,
Using this plan as the guideline.
Yes. I'm going to give you back slide of your pictures.
Yeah.
see, here's the pictures.
thanks for the education, you gave me an education, that's for sure.
Looks great. I want to keep this.
Thank you for being
Yeah.
being well prepared and give us an education on this. We
You
appreciate
want
it.
these?
Can we keep this? Thank
Yes.
you.
And then
That's
on the
fabulous.
last email, there were a bunch of different websites that show
Have-
more
yes.
Right.
from the DEP. All
Right.
right, thank you.
Thank you very much. And give the check made out to the City of Cape May, or you can make it out to me personally, but City of Cape May, and deliver it to county.
And can I do cash or?
Take cash.
All right.
Yeah,
We have another,
that remains.
this is McQuillan. Here it is. We have another appeal. Keith and Christine Skinner, is that you folks? Come on up.
Well, the next contestant.
And you got the green light on yours, okay.
So I was here last year.
Didn't we give you, didn't,
It's 1112 Maryland.
yes, it's very, you need a, well, there's a fence locked. I had to practically climb up on the neighbor's porch to get a look at the tree because you weren't, there was nobody there. And in order to get through the fence to look at the tree, it was difficult to do.
You should have been able to get through the driveway.
I went to the right side, it was locked, and the left side is locked. It's a key lock, and it's a
Jay, this is yours?
plastic fence.
Yes, but.
Anyhow, weren't you here last year?
Yes.
And we let you take one of the two of the
of the
three
three.
trees. So now you're back again, you want to get the third tree removed.
I would like to get the third tree removed.
Have you thought about, like I suggested at the beginning, thought about taking some of the overhang of that tree down, Christine?
We took so this is the picture from last year of the third tree. And then, per your suggestion and your approval, we were able to take down the two other trees that were not looking as healthy and left the third tree that was. And from
And it
here-
overhangs, I can see where your
Yes.
garden furniture and whatnot are.
And Meniere's took back the tree off of the roof of the garage, per your suggestion, and that's what it looks like today. I apologize, this picture was taken today. This is from our back neighbor's property. It's very hard for me to show the angle, but you can
Right.
see it hanging over their garage.
Garage, yeah.
So, one, that is concerning, and two, just that one healthy tree, this falls on our heads. It's not pleasant to have something this big fall from 30 feet up
Yeah.
while we're sitting there. So this was the original reason why I had come the first time to ask for all three trees. And
gave you
unfortunately, you know, we
gave you
tried.
permission for two trees taken
Yes.
down, and subsequently, you already cut this tree back some.
You could move
We-
the
Have you
tape.
thought about putting,
So you don't get hit by this stuff.
putting a tent fly up over that area?
That was what the suggestion was. I don't even see how. I mean, it's such a vast space that I don't know what that could even look like.
Yeah, I don't know whether a tent fly would be sufficient to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Be like dropping
I
concrete.
remember this one, this was the three trees, and you have a swimming pool,
Yes.
and things were getting in the swimming pool, and
This is just getting all over, like, we couldn't, we
and so two of the three went.
Yes.
And I think this is where the former city manager got involved with this, am I
Yes.
correct?
yes.
Yes.
Excellent memory. With all you see,
Sometimes it works, because it was denied then.
the third tree was denied. We compromised,
Took two.
per your suggestion, we took the two.
Three trees.
The two were not looking as healthy, so to
what's-
try with
so
this
what's wrong-
tree,
what's wrong with
we
this tree?
cut it back as far as they said you can cut it back for the health of the tree. And that's where the picture, I mean, you can see it's all the way back. This is part of our concern. This is the tree from our neighbor behind this. This is their driveway, so it's hanging over their garage. And when he cut it back hoping that nothing would be dropping on where we sit. So even though this, I don't know if that's so even though it looks like it's way off, like we took it all off the top of the roof, for the suggestion last year, this is still falling on us while we're sitting there. So it's really impeding our enjoyment of our backyard.
So they cut all that off the side. It doesn't even look like it was trimmed, right?
Well, unfortunately, that's where I brought the original one, because of the other tree. See how before it was all on the roof of the garage? This was last year's picture. And this side of the tree never had growth because the other two trees were there. So he couldn't do anything with that side of the tree. Now it's just leaning. So per the suggestion, he took it off of the garage so that hopefully that would solve our problem, but it hasn't.
So your problem is that those things are dropping
They're
on your
dropping.
head?
Yes. I mean, it's not constant on raining on your head, but one of them on your head hurts. I've had two.
Never heard that before.
No, that's,
This is why I collect military helmets.
Jay, can I ask you, with your little better expertise on species of trees, is that a black pine? What is that? Do you know what type of tree that is?
I'm trying to think.
I don't think black pine has that type of.
That's not a Japanese black pine, huh?
I don't know
I think
my
it's a,
trees.
I don't think it's a white pine, it's a pine tree. Well, obviously, look at the pine cone.
Yes, and
Yeah,
this
well,
is all
right,
year long.
that's obvious, right? Right.
Unfortunately, this is all year long. It's not that it's even a seasonal issue. It's,
Yeah, I mean, if we took down trees just for the concern of the droppings out of trees, every single tree drops something. So we'd be cutting every single tree down in the entire area. So that really isn't our concern. The dropping out of the tree is not our concern.
what about the neighbor's garage and the way it's
Is it doing
leaning?
damage to his garage?
Plain?
No, the neighbor, I don't know the neighbor.
Is it doing damage to the garage?
I have no idea, I don't know the neighbor, but that's, my concern is how that is angled so much. If that falls, I hope that's not my problem.
Oh, that's why that's why you have insurance, and that's why he has insurance.
We can
But
give
for
that
acts-
same,
for
we
acts
can give
of
that
God
same
like that.
scenario to probably 50% of the trees in the area. They lean, they're in awkward positions sometimes, and any given time, any tree can come down, but we don't have a crystal ball to determine that, of when that tree would come down, or if it will
Again,
ever come down.
we are willing to plant whatever trees.
Well,
we're
I would say
willing.
if
I
you do
mean-
it, we give permission, if we give permission to take this one down, you plant deciduous trees in there, trees with
Correct.
leaves on it. It's going to only just drop leaves into your pool and not
Well,
pine
no,
cones.
there are plenty of trees that, by the time the fall comes, you've closed the pool, and,
Right, right,
I mean,
right.
yeah, I believe trees can coexist. I am not bringing up the pool, I'm bringing up sitting out back and just enjoying our property.
Right, I understand.
Can I make a suggestion? Before you did consider removing the tree, could you try to get a really good trim and take it down? Because it
That is what they did last year. We asked them to take it back as far, and he said, this is as far as I can take it for good health of the tree.
Without killing it.
Yes.
You only take
So-
it back, I think the thing is about a third.
That's what he
of the
said.
tree, About a third of the tree. Anything more than that, you really affect the health of the tree.
Is there any reason why they didn't kill the ivy? You have ivy growing up the tree, where that's a simple solution of just cutting the ivy down near the
What-
ground level.
What would the ivy,
Well, it'll start to choke out the tree eventually.
again, I don't know anything about that, so.
Well, that's,
But, I mean,
that's a
if I'm
simple
trying to
solution
kill
to
out
cutting
the
it.
tree,
What are you talking about, ivy?
Yeah, there's ivy growing up the tree.
Oh, yeah, well, that's easy. You go down to the base of the tree, cut off the ivy right at the base where it's coming out of the ground, pull it off about 3 feet up, okay? Cut it off there. It'll turn brown, look like hell for a year, year and a half, but that'll die back, then that ivy will. And that improves the health of the tree. What ivy does is doesn't strangle the tree. What it does is add to the wind load on that tree. That tree is not braced for that extra wind load of those ivy climbing up the tree. So when the wind blows, it sometimes overpowers the tree. So that's why our suggestion is just, trying to pull ivy off a mature tree is an exercise in.
No, I know, yeah, you cut it as you just said. I
Cut
know,
it at
yeah.
the base, up 3 feet.
As you said,
and
for a
let it
year,
die
you're going to
back.
be looking at a lot of brown leaves, but it'll die
Yes.
off and eventually
But
dry up.
eventually die back.
I would like to suggest that the applicants look at trimming the tree.
I just said, though, we did trim the tree per last year's suggestion as far back as we can. So the trimming of the tree is
Yeah,
no longer.
I don't think that's an option anymore. I think the tree trimmed back, as much as it looks like on here, is about as far back as you can go. So,
I don't see any reason why the tree should be taken down.
the what?
I don't see any reason why the tree should be taken down.
Okay.
I mean, like someone said, if we cut all the trees down that drop things, there wouldn't be any.
These aren't just things.
Well,
These
no,
are
there's-
quite heavy.
I realize that, but there's things that come out of trees that are heavy. I mean, I have them in my yard. I mean, you just can't
But
destroy a
As
tree.
reasonable folks, we're going to plant other trees that aren't going to hurt us or our guests. This hurts. If I were a 2-year-old, I'm pretty sure it would ruin my day.
But that's what trees do.
Where the tree is located, is there any way that you could, like with limbs on the tree and themselves, not trimming, but just limbs on one side where it's going onto the roof, to just take those branches off, trim those branches?
Again, the professional tree that came and removed, Meniere's, removed the other 2, they trimmed that tree back as much as they possibly could. That's what we were
Right.
told by the panel last year, and that's what they did. And we had hoped, because it was more so off of the property, that it would solve our problem.
Right.
Well,
Unfortunately,
we're going around in circles here.
Yep, absolutely.
Do I have a motion?
George?
I move that we leave the tree in place and do not give permission to take it down.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
What was it? I missed it.
What was your
Keep the
motion?
tree.
Keep the tree.
And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, it looks like no, we're going to keep the tree.
what, at this point, is there another appeal?
Yes.
Is there,
City manager.
okay? Is that now? Is that later? Okay. Well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah, I am too.
but I thought we had solved the problem with the
We'd hoped, we'd hoped.
permission, to do it last year, to allow the 2 trees to come down and trim the other one.
Yeah, we were right there with you and hoped. Unfortunately,
All right.
this was just one day's collection.
The only other suggestion I could make is that trim it down anyway. Do what you can to trim it down, and then if it doesn't make it, it doesn't make it, then you don't have a situation there.
Wouldn't I be fined?
I
Isn't
mean,
that?
you're saying that they're told you can't trim it a certain way now, because it's not, you just can't do that. But if you have someone trim it the way you want to have it trimmed, then you're able to do that. You could have a really beautiful stump. You could put a little decoration there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kristen.
That's my own opinion.
Bill?
Oh, my.
I want to, I want to congratulate you on your persistence in getting those Tupelo trees put in 20 Patterson Avenue. They're finally in.
Yay.
They what?
They didn't get any extra trees, they took the bare trees out and put them in.
They probably put them up in North Jersey where he came from or something like that.
The only other thing, we had an email go around, Jay, that was
Push your button.
an email going around about licensing. Remember, we were talking about licensing.
Yes,
So with our code, we require people to get licensed who aren't licensed by the state. So,
oh, okay,
so if a landscaper, they
lands-
don't have a state license, but a plumber does, right?
Right.
Electrician is licensed by the state. Remember when Nels came here?
Yes.
Right, and spoke, well, he's in charge now of the tree experts, the New Jersey tree experts, and they require a certification. They're either LTE, which is tree expert, or LTCO, care operator. right?
Okay.
But they have 2 separate state certifications where they've required them to have all the things we would require, right? So they have a database that I can simply click on, and I'll share it with you. that
Okay.
This is all through the same organization Nels works for.
okay.
And it gives you every tree guy, Ron Meniere's on there, Matt Notch is on there, all the people we know who work in this area, all the reputable guys are on there, licensed. So I don't think we have, landscapers are another thing. And like we talked about. with Nels,
Landscapers, you define landscapers as yard
grass
cutters.
cutters.
Grass cutters.
Right.
And bush
But
trimmers and
again,
stuff.
like we talked about with Mr. Johnson, they're not supposed to be trimming trees other than from the ground with,
With
they're not
it.
allowed to even get on a ladder with a chainsaw. So that's something, that I've been watching out for, because I wasn't aware of that prior to speaking to him about it, or this database where they have a state license that's relatively new, but it's a really great website. You can look it up. You know, I'll give it to you. It's actually on Nell's business card.
The website.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that the tree will still work on getting other people licensed so that we can hold them accountable if they
Right.
do anything to a tree. Like we had an incident a couple times this week where guys were trimming street trees.
I was just going to say, yeah.
So in that case, they were landscapers. You know, people say, oh, well, you're,
Like take the suckers off the trees. or
Right,
something
stuff like that.
It's
so
not,
they can do that, but not on a street tree.
I was just going to say, that's something we don't want to, that's something we don't want to encourage or don't want to let happen, because it can lead on to up on putting ladders against the tree and taking off branches.
I agree.
All right.
But that was just that was new information I found out. I just wanted to share with you guys.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Now, Mr. City Manager,
Thank you.
can
Can
we
I just
talk
add
about?
something? Oh, wait, can I just add something, though? In the absence of everybody here now,
Well,
that
you're still,
suggestion of pruning back a
just,
tree to the point where...
there's still people here because we still have everybody watching on the live stream.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine. But the suggestion of pruning back a tree, we don't want to encourage that. That's a bad, thing
Yeah.
to encourage people to do, because then anybody who doesn't get the permission to remove a tree will just say, well, I'll hack it to nothing, to the point where hopefully if the guy knows how to kill a tree, he'll kill a tree.
I was,
That is not a good suggestion at all.
I was going to
How
make
are you
this,
going to stop people on private property from trimming their trees?
Well, then what's stopping them from just chopping off the top section of the tree and just leaving a stump?
It goes back into the thing we just spoke about, reputable guys working on the street.
yeah, but
Ron Lanier would not trim any further off there.
I disagree. I think Meneer did that tree a disservice. I think he trimmed, the application that you just denied, I think that tree was trimmed too much.
The what?
I think the tree was trimmed too much. I think if Meneer did that trimming, I think he trimmed too much off of that tree. Because he made it lopsided.
Could be.
Yeah.
And we had that tree a couple of weeks ago that, what did Jay call it, the lion's tail?
Right,
Yes.
The one on,
right.
the one on
Kearney.
Kearney, yeah. Yeah.
The other thing to consider too is like that lady was talking about her neighbor, tree going up. Her neighbor, if that tree grows over in her yard, she can go up.
They can
in her
prune it.
shed, cut that thing off.
That's right.
She can have, that's on her property now.
If it overhang,
May be to the
if it over,
advantage of the tree.
according to I understand the state of New Jersey, you can trim it back to the property line, okay? But not so much is going to adversely affect the tree. I mean, you can't trim it to the point where it's going to kill the tree. That's a tricky situation. That's where the lawyers get involved on something like that.
Something like that.
All right. Now
I
we
just
got-
don't want to encourage
got-
people to top trees, just for the purpose of they didn't get an approval, so, okay, well, they didn't get an approval to remove the tree, I'll just top the entire tree off and leave a 10-foot stump sticking out of the ground.
Well, that's been done a few places.
But we
Topping-
don't want to encourage.
I know, we don't want them topped. A reputable landscaper or tree guy will not top a tree. He'll thin it out. He'll thin out the tree, but he won't top the tree. It just makes, you go along Pittsburgh Avenue, some large maple trees along Pittsburgh Avenue to the west of Pittsburgh Avenue. As you're driving north, you'll see a couple of trees with just beautiful shaped trees. And all of a sudden, you see some of these things that look like there's little balls on the end where they've topped these trees, and all these suckers come out. The tree looks ridiculous when the leaves are off, and it looks funny even when it's fully leafed, because you get all these small leaves come out of these suckers. This is a good example of telling people why you shouldn't top these trees or pull these trees so much. Now, Mr. City Manager, can we talk about the 50/50 program? I have here we need about $357.50 to cover the approvals that are already done. This I got from Conchita. 3,757.50 to cover things that have already been done. We've got still more in the pipeline.
And I've asked Connie, like on anything that's further coming in on the 50/50 program, those are all going to come to me, and I'm putting out one major project to cover all of them.
Have you thought with the 50/50 program, it's been working for years, and it spreads the cost of the 50/50 program out over a
understand.
period of
I understand
time,
the 50/50
And it
program.
spreads the,
I understand the 50/50 program.
pardon?
I understand the 50/50 program. You don't
Yeah,
have to-
and it keeps, it doesn't keep Triano and Carrot Top and Cape May concrete, stuff like this in business, but it gives them, it spreads the joy around to these people that are able to contract some business in Cape May.
Well, I'm doing it as
And
one
it
large,
gives
I'm doing it as one large project.
Pardon?
I'm doing it as one large project.
I can.
I'm doing it as one large project.
One-time project?
Large project. I've said that a couple times.
You said you get a grant. Does the
No, I didn't get a grant. The city
Does the
didn't get a
city get
grant.
any money back from the, it's not?
Yeah, the 50/50. I'm getting 50 from the residents.
Pardon?
I'm getting 50% from the residents. The city's paying the rest. Nothing changed. I'm just doing one contract.
Oh, it's still 50/50.
Yeah, that's,
Which I would believe would pass on a better cost, not only to the city, but the property owner also.
yes.
Does this give, so who do we tell the people that are applying for a 50/50 program? Who do they send the application to?
What do you mean? They put the request into the city,
Well,
just like they normally
I've
do.
got a tree that's damaged, city tree that's damaging my sidewalk. I said, then what, I tell them to contact you?
No, you contacted nothing's changing on that program.
Contact Connie?
Yeah. It's just going to come to me instead of having them report back to the homeowner to go get 3 price quotes. Right now, we send them a letter saying, okay, now go get 3 price quotes, or 2 price quotes. We're not going to ask them to go get 2 price quotes. I'm just going to tell them how much they owe us.
Can I ask where this contract is being concentrated? What's the general area? Or where it is?
You tell me where the 50/50 applicants are coming in, and I'll tell you where it's going
Oh,
to be
I see.
concentrated.
Okay, so it's,
I'm going to do a
I remember
project,
this
I'm going to do,
discussion much earlier on.
I'm going to do a project.
3 months ago, where we discussed that you were going to look to see if there were areas of one major area that maybe.
I am going to do,
contiguous properties.
I am doing some sidewalk projects, but a lot of those sidewalk areas are not tree-related. They're just
Got it,
bad sidewalk areas that I need to fix.
okay.
But
Said he, all right. So the homeowner would still pay 50% of that cost, right?
yeah,
Right?
hence the 50/50 program.
Okay. What we do is that we have an opportunity, when I say we, the Shade Tree people have an opportunity to look at this and make a judgment on, you can trim a little bit of this root off, you should arc this into the yard, or you should hump this up and over and talk to the contractor that way. We'd have to be able to be assured that we could do the same thing with this new contractor that you would hire to do all at once.
Well, this guy works for us, so yeah, he'll be able to do what we tell him to do.
So he would do what we say, what we would request. Would all this happen at once?
Yes. Well, not physically at once. The contractor can only do so much work at one time, but yeah, that is one project, yes.
So we would be able to make suggestions per sidewalk before the work starts.
I would say that you'd need to look at them as they come in and make the suggestions.
What we do now is we determine, the Shade Tree Commission for the 50/50 program determines if it's city tree related problem.
And nothing of that changes. You're going to go through your process. Instead of sending the request back to the homeowner, you're going to send the request up to my office.
If it's not a city tree related.
No, if it is city tree related,
If it's a city tree related, then we say, okay, all right. But if it's not a city tree related,
the only thing we're changing is what contractor instead of the homeowner having to go out and find the contractor and then us pay the contractor once we get the money from the homeowner,
Right.
I'm using one contractor so the homeowners don't have to go out and get two prices.
Doesn't have to get two quotes, you will.
I'm going to get the prices. And I'm just going to tell the
We do this
homeowner,
on can this be done on a trial basis for a while to see how it works out? I'm a little skeptical.
well, no,
Why would that be?
Pardon?
no,
That be?
no.
I mean, one of the things that people have
I mean-
difficulty with is getting three different prices at any times. Or people don't even know three or two people
Right.
to call to get those estimates.
Contractors don't want to come out and do, contractors
Yeah,
don't
we
want to
don't-
come out and do two sidewalk panels.
Yeah, we don't normally make suggestions on who to call. You said there's contractors in the book. and
Jay,
Most of them are
Jay,
licensed to work.
it's not cost-effective for a contractor to come out and replace 2 or 3 sidewalk panels. The homeowners and consequently the city are paying too much money per square foot of sidewalk.
Yeah, all right.
Very logical.
I mean, let's put it this way. If you want the 50/50 to program to continue, this is how we're going to do it.
When would you like to start on this contract, before the winter months or after?
We already started. I've already talked to Connie, and she's
Well, I mean,
already,
physically breaking ground and replacing.
I haven't decided that yet. I got to work with an engineer and figure it between my timetable and their timetable of when we're going to let the contract.
Okay.
Streamline the process.
Well, at least we need to get this paid. for
It will
months.
be paid.
All right. You heard that. All right.
I've already talked, Connie and I have already talked. I need money.
All right, that's all
We're- I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut all your salaries in half to pay for it.
That'll work. You're not going to save much, but it'll work.
It'll keep it more orderly, that's for sure. It really will keep it
Oh,
more orderly.
I have one more thing, though.
Same page.
Okay. George asked me to bring this up, the Greater Cayman Historic Society. It's their 50th anniversary year. They're going to celebrate with having an ice cream social on Saturday, October 12th, from 1:30 to 3:30. Free ice cream.
Free ice cream.
Free ice cream.
Bring your own.
Right in the parking lot.
Bring your own wine and beer. There you go. And don't forget,
And the city manager has been kind enough to let us have the half of the parking lot.
So spotter and lanternfly control, I need, if you guys could work on, I mean, are you guys okay with, I kind of had pitched, that we would do a Tree of Heaven removal campaign. I just want to make sure that if you guys are supportive of that, or if you guys had a different, way that you felt that we wanted to spend that spotter and lanternfly control money.
Jay, weren't you thinking about putting a subcommittee together or something like that to make recommendations
for
or
what?
on the lantern fly thing?
And the Tree of Heaven.
Tree of Heaven.
Tree of Heaven. What we're doing now is, if there's Tree of Heaven, if you determine in your section there was a Tree of Heaven off of Lafayette Street, correct?
Yeah, but
Your
Jay,
district?
let's bring it back. I have grant money to control spotter and lanternfly. My recommendation was that the Shade Tree Commission to be the front group, to be the lead on spotter and lanternfly control. My suggestion was that we look at removing Tree of Heaven within the city limits as part of, and then we'll use that grant money to pay for that. I asked last meeting if that was what you guys wanted to do, or if you guys had a different idea on how to spend that grant money.
Can I ask,
But
So I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I could spot a Tree of Heaven tree in somebody's backyard.
well, that's part of the campaign that we would,
Okay, so I noticed in the newspaper, they had these little ads. Could we do something like this, telling residents, do you have a Tree of Heaven in your backyard? If you do, call Jay or call Connie or call me.
That's
And that's how
that's
we
what
can
that's what that's how we would use part of that money would be, putting more information out on our website, putting ads in there, pictures of what the Tree of Heaven looks like, and that, that's what I would anticipate, but I need you guys to take the lead.
Can I just ask you to educate me why the Tree of Heaven? That
So the
lantern
tree of
fly-
is it's a host, so spotted lanternflies are attracted to fruit trees,
Okay.
grapevines, and other types of those, but it's also attracted to the Tree of Heaven because it's its homegrown plant. Spotted lanternflies,
Okay.
they're from overseas. The Tree of Heaven, they're from overseas. They came over on different boats, but guess what? They're from the same hometown.
Right.
So they like each other.
Okay.
So that's why if you go around town, if you find a Tree of Heaven, I guarantee you that's where most of the spotted lanternflies in town, that's where they're hanging out.
Yeah, it looks like a sumac.
Yep.
It's like a sumac tree. It's got small branches going up, and the leaves are alternate on each side. And if you crush the branches, the leaves, and smell them, it smells like spoiled, honest to God, I tried to spoil peanut butter. Rancid peanut butter.
It just smells awful.
Pardon?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about now. Now,
There used to be if you looked at the tree at the corner of between the Welcome Center and Oyster Bay, there was a large Tree of Heaven. If you recall, I came
2
into
or 3.
Shade Tree.
who's the knucklehead who named this tree? That's what I want to know. Tree of Heaven. Doesn't sound like a Tree of Heaven.
We just gave permission for 10 to be taken down off of Lafayette Street.
We do? Who did the
I had the request.
But they're all,
So it's, the process is starting.
Did that have the right address listed on the agenda?
now, what we've been doing, when they identify as Tree of Heaven and the homeowner wants to take them, if the homeowner wants to take them down, we don't charge.
No,
Let's
but Jay, that's the whole purpose of this grant. The grant would pay to take them down.
The what?
The grant would help pay to remove the Tree of Heaven.
The city will pay to remove the Tree of Heaven?
Yes, with this grant. That's the whole point of the grant.
Paul, is there any
I
way
think
of,
what you did is the homeowner removed this tree.
is there any way of making some kind of
The homeowner
circular, 'cause
removed
not
the trees
everybody
on
reads the
Lafayette Street.
paper or gets it,
That's
On
part of,
and
where?
drop it
That's-
off
I don't
to
remember
every
the ones you're
resident,
talking
because it's
about.
up to the residents.
I think-
We
well,
can-
I don't know if I
I think
can,
the city manager is trying to ask for direction, maybe a subcommittee to help come up with these
Yes.
ideas that we're all just throwing out there right now.
Send that
I think
picture
the
of-
ad
need your
campaign
help.
was a great idea, and I think other than that, I don't even know what you'd need the subcommittee for. I'd say move along with this program. Seems to make sense to
I
me.
think a subcommittee
Make up this,
with a charge to give
We
the
could,
city
but I-
manager at the next meeting a list of recommendations, or before the next meeting would be a good idea. They can range from public information to what the city officials can do, all within that $20,000 budget that's been given.
I'm looking for you, because I don't want to just, trees are your backyard, and I don't want to do a program that's all around trees if it's not supported by you guys.
If anybody wants to meet, let me know when and where.
Okay, the 10 that we gave approval to be taken down, 812 Dale Street, the little street behind
I didn't know anything about this.
Me neither.
I didn't know anything
No,
about it.
I had the request, Jim, this wasn't a formal part of the thing, this just was
Oh,
part of
okay.
natural.
Yeah.
The homeowner called, said, I have 10 trees of heaven back here.
But this would be my district?
No, it's actually.
Oh, it's your district? Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought it was.
Jay keeps on pointing at me. That's why
Yeah, I
I'm saying I
thought
knew
it was-
nothing about this.
Sorry.
Is that the one listed as Academy Road? Okay. So
And it-
so just because Tree of Heaven is very particular about how you remove a Tree of Heaven, it's not like you just go down and cut it and grind it. There's a whole special process. So we have to make sure if we give authorization to remove Tree of Heaven, and this is one that I would say, we could use the grant money for this. This is exactly how I envision the grant program to work
This
is,
would be part of the recommendations that a subcommittee gives to you.
yes.
Yes.
So I think we just need to make sure we work with this guy and make sure that they do it properly, that's all.
Yeah, I have,
Yeah, we didn't charge anything for tree
no, you and I
removal of
talked
this.
about that. Yeah.
All right, then we'll make it a point for a tree like this, there'd be no $75 tree removal charge. Not from the shade tree anyhow.
It's right behind Lafayette Street. It's a little, off of Queen and Lafayette, it's this little street that's this big.
What's it called?
Hey, Paul.
Dale,
Other than
D-A-L-E.
pesticides, which we try to stay away from, any other way to eradicate these things? Is there anything out there?
It's up for,
Your foot. Squish them.
That's it.
Squish them.
When
This weekend,
Just get rid of it.
this weekend when I was up at my daughter's soccer game in Shippensburg, squished about 20 of them.
That's the best, that's.
Yep.
what we can do.
My high in a 2-hour period is 150.
Wow.
It was outside of Lancaster, up in Lancaster County. It was just so swamped, or actually it was Bucks County. It was just so crazy with them. At a little tournament game, I squished about 150 of them.
but I think, for example, again, going back to a subcommittee concept, how to spend the money, educate the community on, there's really inexpensive ways they can help kill the lanternfly, you know, the 50/50 concoction with Dawn detergent and water, and a whole bunch of things like that. So perhaps we could have that 2-3 weeks.
Perfect.
And again, Dale Street is behind Lafayette, and
It goes south from Lafayette Street, right?
yeah.
All right.
And there was 10 back there, and they all were marked with an X.
It's taken my daughter about 2 years to actually get rid of a couple of trees in her backyard.
Oh, and I've got one additional thing. I have not yet come up with the letter that we want to send. And what we'll do is, the letter will send to contractors on our new ordinance requiring tree protection. We'll send it, rather than registered mail, which is very expensive, we'll probably just send it regular mail, all right, when I get this letter to you. And we'll make copies for the construction office to hand out on any application that comes in. Hopefully, we'll reach all the contractors.
Good idea.
That way, it'll save us some money, but it'll hit the contractors, and they'll know they have to protect these trees. Basically, remind them that the ideal is protection of a tree that's going to remain 1 foot per inch in diameter, side to side, inch in diameter, 10-foot, 10-inch tree, 10 feet out. There's going to be areas that's going to be impractical. I'm going to make a suggestion in there to contact the shade tree office for an alternative, to neck it down, to allow for access in, with the provision that you lay down a 6 to 8 inch layer of mulch and top that with a sturdy particle board or plywood, so construction vehicles or excavation equipment can go in, do the job, and come out without packing down the drip area of the tree. Because there's going to be on Franklin Street, that job that was, we were on Franklin Street and they were working for weeks without any protection on those trees. Well, now they've got the things necked down to where the 4 pieces of plywood are right against the trunk of the tree. That's not the idea. But the damage has already been done on those trees. So we're going to be seeing applications for removal of those trees in 2 years.
Jay?
Yeah.
Jay, does not the new ordinance, I recall Jim Van Pelt had during our discussion of the new ordinance regarding construction barriers, that there was a specified distance and form of.
Which is what he's referring to, 1 foot per inch, and, you know, where we discussed it wouldn't be practical in certain areas. I think the only thing that Jay's adding to it that we didn't add during all of that discussion. Obviously, we left it to some discretion where, you know, it wouldn't be practical, but he's saying also now to add that layer of mulch and plywood to
Because
bridge
you
over
can
the...
drive across, and not so
That's
much,
the only thing we didn't discuss, and that's not on
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
ordinance. That's not on it.
because there was the construction official indicated to me that there's no way of promulgating this. So that's what I've been trying to come up with.
Unfortunately, we didn't include it in the ordinance, so therefore it would have to be a suggestion at this point and try to highly stress to the contractor or homeowner to do this for the protection of the tree.
No, protection of the tree is in the ordinance. What we're doing
The
is we're giving-
requirement of
well,
mulch
the
and
protection of
the
tree
plywood is
The
not.
protection of the tree is in the ordinance, and
The TPZ zone is in the ordinance.
What?
The TPZ, the tree protection zone, is in the
Yes,
ordinance.
yes.
Your suggestion of the mulch and the plywood is
It
not.
is, if it, no, it's not, but it, no, it's not. But I talked to the people from West Cape, Maine, this is what they're gonna do. This
Okay.
is what they're gonna put it out, and I figured, okay. It seems reasonable to me. I talked to Arbor Care Resources about that, and he said, yeah, that's a reasonable suggestion. But don't offer to the people right away. Offer it as an alternative protection plan. Otherwise, they're gonna just put something 6 feet away from the tree and lay this stuff down where they could give a wider protection zone.
Right.
So this is what I'm suggesting.
We'll have to bring this meeting to an end. Just real quick, Shane had said that it's possible that you'd be able to bring this to council and maybe add it to the...
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that can be added. This way it's actually in black and white and it is part of the ordinance. Which would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, does anybody have anything more to bring up for the good of the order? Don't forget, the 17th is the 99th annual tree convention up in Harris in Atlantic City. I think George and I are going. Is anybody else going to make it up to that? No? All right, it looks like George and me are going to have to help fly the flag again. So that's all I have. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Second by Barbara. Thank you very much. We got a lot
everybody.
accomplished today.
Okey-dokey.
With no fist fights, no bloodletting.